Welcome, everybody, to tonight's workshop, the 3 secrets that are going to end power struggles with your kids for good. We can start now. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to start a little bit differently. I'm just going to ask all of you, invite all of you to take a minute to put your hand on your stomach, just below your boobs and above your belly button. And I want you to just close your eyes for me and take a really long, deep breath in. And when you get to the top of that inhale, I just want you to let it go. And we're going to do this a couple of times. Deep breath in. And exhale, let it go, let the shoulders drop. Feel the air coming out of your tummy. Maybe 3 more times. Inhale. A nice long exhale. Just continue like this, just for a moment as I'm talking to you. Just letting the long, deep breath in and allowing yourself to exhale, because this might be the first time today that you've actually taken the time to breathe. I want us all to land in this room from wherever we are in the world. We could all be anywhere, and we've all taken the opportunity to come together, to share in doing whatever it is that we can to improve our relationship with our kids. And I want to congratulate all of you, because I've asked you all to come here at the most inconvenient time of the day. So congratulations to all of you, and a little kind of high fives to yourself for pulling it off. You know, if you've all got kids out there that need a bath or a meal or studying for exams that we want to be watching over them. So congratulations to all of you for taking the time. And now I will begin. So you can open your eyes and hopefully you feel a little bit more grounded and a little bit more centered. And maybe that should have been secret number 1. All we need to do is breathe. Okay, everyone go. No, let's get cracking. We are here tonight to explore 3 secrets that will end power struggles with our kids for good. I'm Amiee Carlton. I'm a therapeutic parenting coach, and I'm a master NLP practitioner. But honestly, I think the most important thing is that I am a mum of 2 kids. I've got Sydney, who's 13, and Remy, who's 10. I'm living it. It really all changed for me when I became a mum. I felt like everything I had been told was true wasn't. I couldn't understand why everything I felt I was doing was wrong. I couldn't understand why there was no joy. I couldn't understand why there was no pleasure. I didn't feel this connection that people talked about. And I was kind of running around like a headless chicken, trying to be everything that a parent was meant to be. And thank God for me, it all fell apart. And I started to challenge this framework that I felt I had been fed about what it meant to be a parent and what I was meant to do in order to get this outcome as a mother, and for my child, what it was meant to look like for them. Who was my child meant to be in order for me to feel like I was being the mum that I wanted to be? And so I started to kind of strip everything away. And this is what I'm giving to you guys now. Everything that I've learned over the last 13 years is where I'm at now. It's really an amalgamation of so many things. But essentially, when we break it down, if we can live slightly differently and we can shift things slightly differently, we can end up learning to master parenting in a completely different way. We can relate to parenting in a completely different way. We've been missing, as parents, the essence of our job, I think, of our role, of what we're here to do. We're focusing on all the wrong things. and we're being celebrated for focusing on all the wrong things. So it's becoming very, very confusing to us. If this is you right now, you can drop messages in the chat. Feel free. I won't answer questions till the end, but you can drop things in the chat. I'm always happy. If you feel like you are constantly losing your shit with your kids and you are always frustrated, are you yearning for a deeper connection with your child and you actually want to enjoy spending time with them? I feel like I'm hearing so much from parents about the fact that they don't actually enjoy spending time with their children. And it's a really hard thing to admit. But if that resonates with you, even just a teeny tiny bit, please know that you are not alone. I hear this so often. Are you exhausted and tired of the expectations and the comparisons and the judgments? And actually, when I say this, I'm talking about us. I'm talking about the expectations on us and the comparisons that we make on social media or at the school gates, the judgments that we have of ourselves, of the way that we're showing up. But this also relates to our kids. We are expecting so much of them. We're putting a huge amount of pressure on them to show up a certain way so that we can feel we're doing it right. Are you exhausted from just doing and organizing and stressing? And actually, just for once, you would like to just enjoy your time in your day, in your evening, on your weekends. Who finds a weekend a weekend? It's like a full-time job. Whatever our story is, we all feel like we're just not doing something right. So I've got a client, Katie. I have had her approval to share these, the stories that I shared tonight. Katie was living in a state of overwhelm. So she had got herself into a loop where she was vigilantly, constantly trying to keep her daughter happy. Any kind of mood other than happiness was absolutely not acceptable. And so she was living in this like constant state of anxiety, right? She was in fear of the next tantrum and was actually starting to resent the time that she spent with her daughter. It was like a psyching herself up every single time she was picking her up or taking her into school or having to have any kind of extended time with her child. Actually ended up being a really anxious process. And it started to be kind of building a certain level of resentment between her child and her, because what was happening was she was showing up with anxiety and her child was then showing up with anxiety, and the pair of them were clashing. And the constant question is, surely it's not meant to be this hard. So if you're asking yourself that question, you're not alone. Is it meant to be this hard? Or is our story more like Tara? So Tara, her 14-year-old, was the perfect student. He was the head of the football team. He was top in maths, top in geography, 14 years old, out of nowhere, bam, lost interest in everything, started lying, spent all his time locked away in a room. Every time she would bring it up, it became a row. Every time she tried to bring him out of his room, it became a row. She didn't know what happened. Any kind of conversation ended up in an argument. And actually, it became paralyzing. Tara didn't know what to do or where to go or how to help him. She felt like she was failing. Either story, we've got two ends of a spectrum. What we do know is that we all feel like we're not doing something right. Something isn't working. And we actually also know on a global scale, this isn't just in this country, but on a global scale, we're in the midst of a mental health crisis. Anxiety in children is higher than it has ever been. We do need to do something. Something needs to change. The way that we are doing things at the moment isn't working. Today, I'm going to give you some tips on some steps that we can take to make change. So I work with parents all the time. This is what I do day in and day out. All you need to do is be ready to feel and see a change, ready to show up differently, ready to trust that if you do something different, the feedback you get will be different. The parents I work with are ready to feel and see change in their relationships. They want to move past the blocks and they want to flip their energy and mindset. Energy is such a huge part of it, and we lose sight of that all the time. If we can flip our energy, if we can just tweak things very, very slightly, you will be amazed at how you can reconnect with your child and experience something like completely different, like night and day. So, secrets. Why are they secrets? Why have I called them secrets? Because actually they're not secrets. These are things that we're doing every single day, and we're just not seeing it. So as simple as they are so simple to change. I'm going to start with secret number one, obviously. We have got so lost in the doing that we have stopped seeing. What does it look like being lost in the doing? Constantly rushing and hustling, constantly being overscheduled, repeated battles over who's doing what and when, fights over how time is spent. How many of us, come on, let's go. No, get off that. Don't do that now. No, hurry up, go upstairs, get this, do that. Let's leave. You're running late. You're always losing things. We are so highly stressed because we are doing, and we have filled our schedules with doing. We've got no quality time together. Everything's a job to be done, or a class to get to, or a sports thing to achieve. There's no quality time. There's no hanging. There's no being. Our focus has become on the outcome. Have we done well at the football tournament? Have we finished the art project? Have we finished the book? We're so focused on what's good for them and being the good parent that we're not being present in any day with our children anymore. Now, let's not be too harsh on ourselves. I'm pretty sure everyone who's here watching tonight can kind of resonate with that. We live in a culture where everything is super, super, super fast, right? That's why we do it. We are celebrated for being busy. I mean, how many of us? So, how's things? Yeah, busy. It's like a badge of honor. It's like success. But our energy is depleted, our time is depleted, our patience is depleted, and it's really affecting our relationships. Culture and society literally has fed us this story that our children need to be busy. The actual opposite is the truth. There is scientific study after scientific study that the brain flourishes, the brain grows, creativity grows where there is space. We're not allowing space. There is no space in our lives today. A big part of it is the economy. There is every single after-school club making a fortune out of us. We are being pushed to do more, but we're also very uncomfortable to spend time with our children if they're not busy, because somehow we feel like we're doing something wrong because we're celebrated for being busy. We don't want them to be lazy, right? We don't want them to sit around. But then we're frustrated that they're not capable of doing anything on their own. How can they be? How can they actually be capable of doing anything on their own when we have created situations from the day that they were born, from little Einsteins all the way through to like baby music, all the way through to kiddie kicks football, and all the way up? They don't know how to do anything on their own because their brain has never been able to be still for long enough. And we are so terrified of missing an opportunity that we just keep doing it. So we're desperate to stop, but we just keep doing it because we're scared that if we don't keep filling their time and we don't keep pushing them forward and we don't keep them busy so that they can experience more and learn more and do more, that we're missing an opportunity for them and they're going to end up on the back foot compared to the other kids. We don't want to look like the bad parent. We're doing our best. We love them and we just want the best for them. So we end up hustling. Does that make sense? We end up hustling so that we're proving I'm a good parent. Look, I'm the parent that does the after school. I mean, who's the parent that doesn't do the after school clubs? I mean, the shame of not doing the after school clubs and the shame of not doing the reading every single night and the shame. It's huge, but it's exhausting us. Now, the uncomfortable truth is that as a culture, in the Western world, we are just doing too much. We cannot connect to anybody the way that we are moving. This constant hustle is a wedge between connection. There's no space for connection. There's no time. There's no time to sit and chill and hang and see what comes up, or maybe explore something new. The rushing and the pushing and the scheduling. We are doing parenting. We are not being parents. And if we can bring ourselves away from the doing and allow a little bit more being, there is a lot less pressure. And there is a lot more time to connect. Now, when we stop overdoing, these are the things that are going to be available to you, right? Less judgment of your child and of yourself. Less arguments because you're not constantly stressing them and hustling them and pushing them. More time to actually get to know your child. What actually are they interested in? We make so many decisions for our kids that they kind of get swept up in, that there isn't actually any room or time for them to do any of the other stuff that they've come up with. Our children, when they do less, actually become more creative. We need them to be bored, so they will then wander off and find something to entertain them. We're teaching our children that they need to be entertained. We are creating a culture where there is no space. And then we are frustrated at the expectations from our children to keep them entertained. We need to break the loop. It's not comfortable to break the loop. Don't get me wrong. You will feel like you're crawling out of your skin. But if you can do one less thing a week, notice the difference. Your kids will end up doing more personality aligned activities because they'll start to learn what they're interested in. You will be more present because you are not driving the car, thinking about the next thing that you need to do, making a phone call at the same time that you shouldn't really be doing because you're driving, and possibly trying to send a text to make sure that the tutor or the so-and-so is picking your other kid up from school. Just think about where your brain is when you're doing 8 things at once. None of it is on your child. And time. We get time, which is amazing because none of us seem to have enough of it. Now, this is actually what happens when you stop overdoing. So I'm just going to read it. This is a quote. You can all read it, but I'll read it to you. Jess, again, gave me permission. I learned to let go of what I thought I should be doing all the time. I found space to actually look at my 3 children as individuals and make better choices with each of them to help them thrive. I have let go of my perceptions. Everyone is much more balanced now. Now, that is what is available to you if you can challenge yourself to step away from what is celebrated about being busy and see what happens if you can allow a little bit of space. The level of stress goes down, the levels of anxiety go down. I have a tip, and this is an interesting one because I actually think we make a mistake. We have like a short-term kind of thought process around this. We all want to get as much sleep as possible, so we end up rushing like nutters in the morning. It is there might be some of you here go, no, I take an hour and I know exactly, it's great, I need my time. But I would say 8 out of 10 parents hustle everybody out of the door and literally feel like they're having a nervous breakdown by 9:10 in the morning. And again, that's when you stop breathing, right? So by 9:10 you haven't taken a breath, and it's not until someone tells you to stop and put your hand on your stomach and actually breathe that you breathe again, right? If you can wake up half an hour before you need to wake your children up, it will change your life. Now, you may be sleep deprived, or you may not be so sleep deprived anymore because your kids have got a lot older, but you still try and grab as much sleep as possible because you think that is what is going to help you be more patient. But if you wake up and immediately you are engaging with other people's energies straight away, you are going to be depleted within half an hour. Wake up earlier, take it slower, allow yourself to have 20 minutes where you are not being asked for something, and then go into your life with your family and try and slowly wake your children up, even if they need to wake up 10 minutes earlier, so you can wake them up gently and nicely and kindly. And just notice, if you can do this for a week, notice the difference, how your morning goes, the engagement with your child. We don't notice how much we push and we rush and we hustle and we're frustrated, and then they're frustrated back and we're immediately in a power struggle. No, I don't want to get up yet. No, leave me alone. No, you need to. There's no, you're fighting a losing battle before you've even started. So that's my top tip. I highly recommend it. It's a game changer. And we'll move swiftly into secret number 2. I don't want to keep all of you for too long. Now, secret number 2, we do not see the need behind our children's behavior. So we see a behavior, we don't like the behavior, we react to the behavior. We stay surface. What does it look like when we stay surface? When we stay in a judgment of a behavior? Well, it looks like excessive shouting. Don't do that. Stop. You're naughty. You're bad. You're rude. We end up in constant punishments and fights. There's always tears. There's lots of not listening to each other because we've seen something that is not acceptable to us. And our immediate reaction is shut it down. This needs to stop. We don't tend to listen or hear or breathe. And so we end up shouting and pushing and punishing. And then we end up with door slamming and silent treatment. And a lot of it comes from should is my classic word. Notice how many times you say should and need. They shouldn't behave like that. I, as a parent, should be disciplining them. I should be teaching them. They should know better. It's all on the surface. It's all a judgment. It's all an idea, and it's all a story. And it all comes from our culture and the people that we love and respect the most. What are they going to think of us? And worse, what are they going to think of our kids? Right? What are they going to think of our kids? And if they think badly of our kids, then what kind of parent am I? And so we see this behavior. It scares us. We don't like it. It's bad behavior. And I'm not saying we accept all behavior. There is behavior that is incredibly toxic, but there is always a need behind the behavior. Whatever it is your child is doing, they are doing it in response and reaction to something, a need that is not being met. So there's a very classic term, acting out. It's very American. They're acting out, but it's really descriptive. When a child or an adult, this applies to everyone here today, when anyone acts out, it is they are acting something they cannot communicate. So it comes out in an action, like a play, right? Now, like I said, we're worried about what people think. We're conditioned, really strongly conditioned with these ideas of what is right and wrong, what is good and bad. And we're almost, like I said, when I had my daughter, Sydney, it was literally like I might as well have been handed a Bible on a plate. Here you go, read this book. This is the list of right and wrong. And if your child does any one of the wrong things, do whatever it takes to make it right. That's it. There was never anything about, well, what's going on for them? You know, maybe they need something else. And as parents, we want to be in control. Well, as human beings, we want to be in control. It's unfair to say as parents, as a human being, we want to be in control. We feel safe when we're in control. And if we feel like we're in control of our children, then we feel like they're safe too. If they're doing what we say, then we're safe and they're safe. It's like, great, you know, we've got a handle on this. Everything, you just do what I need you to do. And I know that you'll be okay. But you're dealing with another human being. It will not happen all the time. We're socialized to really just look at the surface and no deeper. We're socialized to judge a behavior, decide if it's good or bad, and either proceed or stop, right? And we are constantly told by teachers, by social media, by our own parents, that if we give in to our children, if we don't immediately shut them down, then we are going to be inviting chaos because we are showing weakness. So we divide ourselves before we even start. We're here, child is here. Do not move into here because you are weak and it will be chaotic. It's completely counterintuitive. by not listening, by not looking at what is going on behind the behavior, by not looking for that need, by not hearing our children, we are inviting chaos. That's the truth. That's what we end up with. That's why we end up in power struggles, because we're shutting them down all the time, because we're just looking at the situation in front of us and deciding what it means. Look, we don't want to be judged, and we don't want to be seen as uninvolved. To let something go, to give in, we look like we're not interested. We look like we're laissez-faire parents. We don't look like we're doing our job, but we are. Because actually, to be conscious in our parenting, to actually look at what that need is and to meet the need. Now, very different to doing what someone wants. There's a big difference between, do I just give in and do everything they want? No, we can say no. But when we say no to something, why can we not understand that that would be frustrating for our child or just anyone we say no to? There has to be a space to allow a processing rather than I've said no, enough, it's over. So we're not meeting the need for them to be heard. When I'm talking about meeting a need, I'm not talking about Disneyland. I'm talking about emotional need. We do not act out when our needs are met. We just don't. When we can be heard and we can be seen and we can be listened to, we don't lose our shit. Children have tantrums because they are not emotionally able to regulate themselves. But essentially, a tantrum and an adult losing their temper is the same thing. Now, we as adults do not act out ourselves when we feel seen, heard, and understood. We don't walk around screaming and shouting at people. It's just because we've been allowed to. We only react negatively when we feel like we're pushed into a corner and we feel like we're trapped. So this idea that we're inviting chaos and we're going to have these unruly children if we, God forbid, listen to them, is unfathomable that it would result and that it will result in our children being chaotic, rude, entitled. Are these not the words that we get? Oh, no, they'll just be spoiled and entitled. Well, they won't be spoiled and entitled because their needs are met. They don't feel they need to be. So it really is about a looking behind. When we can look behind and we can see the need through the behavior, we have less reactivity towards our child because we're not just going right, wrong, good, bad, done. We're looking at them going, a curiosity here. What's actually going on around them? Have they had enough sleep? Have they eaten? Have they had an argument with a friend? That's a classic. When our kids come in and they're disgustingly rude to us and we're, don't talk to me like that. Fine, I won't. Stop. Okay, well, what's going on? 9 times out of 10, you'll find out there's been a row. Something's gone on at school. Someone's upset them. We can't know that, right? We've immediately shut ourselves out because we're so locked in the story of don't speak to your parents like that, that we immediately lost it. And then we say, my child doesn't talk to me. I don't understand why. They don't talk to you because you're not listening. When you're looking for a need and you're looking to meet the need, there's more space to listen. You get to know and understand your child. The more you listen, the more you hear, not the more you give in, the more you appreciate and you accept a process. And I hear that's really tough, but still no. I get that you're pissed off. Okay, I'm not going to let you speak to me like that. You can go do that somewhere else, but we'll talk about it when you can come back and be calm. There's a difference, big difference. There's an inner confidence to respond to your child's needs because you're not just reacting to a social framework. You're not just reacting to a social expectation, right? So you've got this inner confidence that it's like, oh, well, they're bad, I should. It's they need, I can fulfill that, we're going to be in flow. You stop putting your friends and family's opinions above your child's needs because you're so much more engaged and you're you're less concerned with the judgment because you're in flow with them, and you can meet them, and actually you have more fun because you're less bloody stressed about what you should and shouldn't be doing. You're in a relationship. So Lindsay, another wonderful client of mine, had a lot of issues with her 12-year-old son's behavior around bedtime. It was a real issue. There was arguments, there was power struggles. Funnily enough, the whole elongated evening that bedtime became, out of the stress of trying to get this child into bed at a acceptable time in an acceptable way, was, again, like I'm saying, it was actually causing the chaos. So actually bedtime wasn't till midnight, despite the fact it was trying to be at 9:30. It was creating the problem. So it wasn't until we did some work together that Lindsay was able to finally let go of the ideals and actually step into communication. And when she did that, yeah, look, it took a couple of weeks, it took a little bit of time. There is an investment in shift. But when she was finally able to give herself permission not to listen to what she should be doing and what it should like and look like and what's right and wrong and what she felt was expected of her and what was expected of her son at that age, she was conditioned to believe bedtime became no issue at all. It literally went away. When we can meet our child's needs, the symptoms dissolve. And again, I'm not talking about accepting toxic behavior. I'm not talking about allowing people to be rude to you and disrespect. But I'm talking about understanding and hearing and understanding that if you have a child who is being very, very, very rude, there is something going on underneath. Let's find out what's underneath so that the rude dissolves. So here's my tip about defining, here's my tip. Before we define a behavior, when we are in reaction to a behavior, and we can see it in ourselves, we can feel ourselves going, shit, this is not good. This is bad and this needs to stop. Before you go into reaction, ask yourself the question, what is going on and why might my child be behaving this way? Just that small space of time. It's tiny, but if you can allow yourself that time to take a breath before you act, you will find yourself responding much more than you find yourself reacting. It's a really good tip. Now, the final secret, which is the hardest pill to swallow for all of us, is that we don't acknowledge that our kids are watching us all the fucking time. They are watching what we are doing. We are their greatest teacher. It's not the school they go to. It's not the friends they have. It's not your parents. It's not social media. We love it. Love it. Oh my, it's social media. It's all social media. This is why they behave this way. It's all social media. No, it's not. Social media plays a big part, don't get me wrong, but they're watching you all the time. So we're constantly at our kids, social media, phone time, computer games. Get off the phone. It's been too long. You've got no respect for the phone. You do nothing else. Meanwhile, tick, 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 tick. We're actually usually, the best is we're usually on the phone when we're telling them to get off the phone. You're always on that bloody screen, on the phone ourselves, looking at our own stuff. We're shouting at our children for being disorganized, for being late, for not having their stuff together. Yet we're running around looking for our keys and we can't get out of the door on time. We yell at our children for yelling at their siblings. We are literally reinforcing, we are paving the way for their patterns all the time. We have expectations of our children that we don't meet on a daily level. We just don't. The classic, my child is so lazy and grumpy about the fact that they get home from school I can't get them to sit down and do their homework. They make such a big deal out of it. What? Who? What, do we want to come home and after a full day at work and sit down and do her? No, we'd be having a go about it too. We'd be bitching about it too. I've got to work overtime. We're doing it. They're listening to us complain about it. And yet we jump on them the minute they have something to say about it. We do not acknowledge our own behavior. We need to start to see ourselves. We are hypocrites. Why do we do it? Because we can. because culture says it's fine. Because we have been taught that our children are the problem. If there's something going wrong, it's their problem. We must change them. We've got to find out what the problem is with them, and we have to fix it, right? Culture says children should do as we say. So we fall into this trap, right? So we're told that children should do what we say. And then when they're copying our own behavior and we shout at them and we don't listen to them and they shut themselves away, you see, we end up in this loop. And it all starts from us just trying to get them to do something that they're reflecting of us, or not to do what they're reflecting of us. We want our children to reflect the best version of us, right? It's kind of their behavior we see as a reflection of who we are as parents and people. And we're trying to show them the best way, but we're not doing it. So they can't do it. No one can do something they haven't been taught. It's an impossibility. You can't do anything you haven't learned, but you could do a hell of a lot of what you have been shown. We're not emulating our own values, but we are expecting them. And we're being celebrated. Like I said, we get celebrated for this behavior. Like, oh, great. Okay, so if they do something right, we're celebrated for it. So let's just make sure they do something right. So we're pushing them all of the time. Huge expectations on them all of the time. And we're pushing those. What does it look like for us, though, when we start to live by our own values? And I think this is such a huge one, because I don't think we realize what we get out of it as well. Our children respect us much more. They are looking at us as hypocrites. They even ask us, if you listen, they ask us, but why is it okay for you to do it? But you're always on your phone. But you're eating that pretzel. Why can't, what? You're having crap after dinner. But you eat whatever, but you do it, but you're always late. So they do actually have more respect for us. It's very difficult to respect somebody who's doing exactly what they're telling you not to do. You will have more accountability for your own behavior. You will feel better. When you start living by your values, you will feel stronger. You won't feel so reactive to them because they're not reflecting back to you something you wish you were doing differently yourself. You'll start to have an understanding of your own expectations of your children, and you might be able to lower them a little bit. Come into balance of what actually is kind of fair to expect of a 5-year-old, 9-year-old, 17-year-old. You know, we expect an awful lot, especially when you're moving into the teenage years. We really think they should have all their shit together, and they shouldn't. They can't. They won't. They don't. There's much calmer communication because you can see yourself. Your child actually ends up taking more responsibility because they see how you're showing up, and they will mirror you. And you'll just become more aware of your own humanness and your kids' humanness, the mistakes that you make, the things you wish you did differently. You'll just be a little bit more gentle on them and yourself. So I'm going to open the chat up in this point and see if anyone, can't seem to show it though, if anyone can relate and can put in the chat for me where they can see themselves maybe having too high expectations or nagging about things that they're not holding an example for. I mean, screen time was a massive one for me. I had to make huge changes. Grumpiness in the morning kind of goes back to my getting up early thing. Have no tolerance for them being grumpy in the morning. And yet was terrible in the morning, had to make some big changes around that. Yeah, screen time, food's a killer, right? Too much sugar, always too much sugar. Yeah, we're addicted to sugar. Yelling, we yell at them for yelling. So unless we can show them a different way to communicate when they're frustrated, how can we expect them to do anything differently? I will answer some of these questions at the top here. Doro, I see your question. Daisy, I'll get to that at the end if we have time. I just want to get through all of this. I yell when they yell, thinking they will stop. So it's like we think that if we shut them down, we'll stop the chaos, right? It goes back to my last point. We kind of think if we can just be bigger and we can be stronger and we can be louder and we can be more dominant, then they'll get smaller, but they won't, because actually they'll emulate what you're doing, and then you end up in chaos. It's like, what if you just did the opposite of what you normally do for like 3 days? You freak them the hell out, but you know, they come around to it. That's actually a really important thing to kind of point out, is that when we start to make these changes, if you implement these 3 secrets and you really start to try and bring awareness to these 3 secrets that I'm talking about, these 3 ways we step up every single day and change them, they will be thrown. They will be like, what are you doing? We need to allow a bit of time for that pattern to shift, the equilibrium to change. It's actually quite funny to watch. As my teacher, Shafali, says, your children are master pickup artists. They pick up all the energy around you and reflect it back, which they do. They do. And if we can see that, then we can change a lot. So you've had your 3 secrets. Let's recap. Cliff notes. What are the 3 secrets that will end all power struggles for your kids for good? Well, we need to learn to do less and be more. This allows space for connection and growth and change. We need to look for the needs behind our children's behaviour before we react and shut down and punish. And we need to live as an example for our children to learn from. Because we are teaching them, but no one has ever learned a lesson by being told what to do, ever. I ask every single one of you to try and think about a time where you really learned a lesson, and it has always come through experience. Always, always. When we miss these secrets, when we're not in connection with our children, when we're not listening, when we're not seeing, when we're not modeling for them, this is what life looks like through our children's eyes. My parents don't know anything about me. My parents don't care what is important to me. We're just shutting them down all the time, telling them no. I just want them to listen to what I'm saying. They're always judging me and telling me that I'm bad or naughty. There are so many rules, and I forget some by mistake, and I think I'm bad. Everybody is intrinsically good. No one wants to piss anybody off. No one wants to do anything wrong. We all know how much we hate making mistakes. They hate making mistakes too. And we don't allow them the space for a mistake to just be a part of life. To use it as an incredible experience of what didn't work and move on. What do you think should have happened? Why didn't that work? Why did that get such a bad reaction? Why was this a mistake? But we jump in ahead of the learning. There's never any time for the lesson because we're too busy jumping in before to show that we're there and we're in charge and we're parenting, we're doing it. Look at us, we're doing it. I mean, if you've got teenagers, it's even more intense the way they think about us, the way the way they feel inside about how we show up. I can't tell them how I feel. They never listen. It's easier to lie than to argue. When our children and our teenagers are lying to us, we go straight into lying bad. Don't lie. Not, why did you feel the need to lie in the first place? What was going on that you felt that you needed to lie to me? What needs to happen for us to be in a place of respect? Because I can promise you, the more you dominate, you may get compliance. You may get what looks like compliance and better lying, but you will not get respect. A child doing what you say does not mean they respect you. It means they have learned how to avoid trouble. That's all. I'm scared to tell them I'm struggling, but it's so hard. I'd rather hide in my room than risk being criticized anymore. They don't care what I want, just how I make them look. We're so worried about how we're judged by how they behave. And we need to stop making it about us. There is one more secret. We think it's meant to be easy. We think we're meant to know what we're doing. And it's not easy. Parenting isn't easy. And so when we find it hard, we start to punish ourselves. We think it looks easier. Everyone else is doing it right. I'm doing it wrong. There must be something wrong with my child. I've got to get them right. If we can accept that it's hard and it is a challenge to engage in a life with other people who are humans just like us, with their wants and their needs and their loves and their opinions and their hates and their moods and their hormones, and we accept that it's actually meant to be hard. It is hard. We're not failing because it's hard. It can make the journey easier. It's not your fault. We're all doing the best that we can. Stepping into becoming more conscious in your parenting is the biggest challenge, because you really need to look. You need to step back and still be present. You need to listen. You need to accept other people's opinion, even when you think you know better. But it is the most worthwhile thing that you will ever do. There are so many parents that I work with, and they've got so many issues around self-belief and self-worth and worthiness. And they've come from really lovely, loving, stable families. But it all stems from the fact that they don't feel seen, and they don't feel heard, and they don't feel understood. And the funny thing is, if you ask yourself how you react when your child isn't listening, when your child isn't watching, when your child isn't learning from you, you lose your shit. And that's because you don't feel seen, you don't feel heard, and you don't feel understood. So if we can break these patterns and we can step in with space and love to seeing and looking and understanding, we are not just improving, transforming, turning around our relationships with our own children. We are actually doing it generation. It will improve. This work improves your relationships with your parents if they're around, and your children and your children's children. Because if you can teach your children through modeling to them how to listen, how to hear, how to be calm, how to be in this space, just goes down the family line. How do you want your children to treat their children? It's a really interesting question. How would you feel seeing your child screaming at their child? How would you feel seeing your grandchild punished the way you're punishing your children? They will repeat, wash, repeat, wash, repeat, or we change. And when we change a generation. And when we change a generation, we change the next generation. And slowly the paradigm shifts. And each one of you who changes is taking a step away from this anxiety, a step away from self-harming, a step away from the shut door, a step away from the constant fights.
Do you have any berries in the fridge? The chat for me.
Can I ask anyone to just put their mutes on? See if I can, someone has turned their mute off. Our children, another Shefali quote, our children have bestowed us the privilege of raising their spirits. Let's do so with diligence. We as a generation have stepped away from connecting to who our children are. I would say it's been many generations, but we are in a place right now where our children do not feel seen, heard, or understood on any level. We are more focused on filling the role of being a parent and filling the expectation of society of what our children should be like than learning about our children and understanding them and raising them to be the best versions of who they are, not who they could be, not who they could be, not who they could be and they should be to be in society, to get a job, to who they are, to what fills them up. That's why parenting has got so shitty, because we're just trying to raise these things that can be okay in society, and it's not working.